In this session of information in regards to small manufacturing software, we're going to look at the ability to import GL accounts from comma separated values or a text file. So in that information we're going to use, for example, the GL accounts. So let's briefly look at the GL accounts information, and we'll go ahead and open up one. So we have an account number, we have a name, departments, we kind of skip that in the importing process. Suspended, that means usually it's checked if it's an old account. So by default, if you're importing it, it's probably going to be false for suspended. And then you have these types. These correspond to numbers 1 through 5, and that information is in the help file. And basically you've got groupings. Typically I don't recommend importing that. You can. Current earnings we do skip, that's only one per company. And then some of the cash, which you can import as well. So that's kind of the basics of the fields. One exception that's not on the front tab here is notes, and that's just information about the account, usually internal description of what the account is to be used for. So that's just a quick rundown of the data that we're going to be looking at adding. So the process to add data is under the tools and under import and from text file. And here it gives us 3 tabs, the files that we're going to import, and here's the possible things to import from a CSV file. And here is an errors tab and a good tab. So just a real quick overview. Here we're going to pick the account or the GL file name, the file name we're saving to bring the information in. Here is errors. Once you bring it in, it's going to show us if it had a problem with bringing the data in. If the values are good, it brings them into this tab, and then from here we can send the final step into the program. So backing up in here, I've prepped an Excel file to show you here, just real basic, just one account, and the list I'm doing them in order. You can see there's an account number and a description. This order of the fields can be best explained by, if you look at the errors or the good, you'll see after the errors message, here's the GL account, the name, notes, account type, suspended, group ID, subgroup ID, cash. Those are the order that you want to do them in, with the skipping this error message, this first one. So if you need to know the order of the accounts, there they go. And there's a trick. If you skip some of these following fields, like after suspended, we're not going to import these. You're okay as long as it's to the right of the last field. So as long as we're complete through suspended, you can skip these last few accounts. So it's just, you need placeholders. If you're going to input something down in here to cash, yes or no, you'll need to fill in the 2 fields in between, or at least leave default answers. So here what we have the account, we have the name of the account, we have the notes field, and I just typed in notes just for an example. Here is the type, because we want this to be an expense account, and that's that list we talked about of the account types. And then suspended is false. And so we're trying to match that up to the list of fields that are listed under the error or the good tabs, as far as to get that. So I've saved this, done a file and a save as, and we're saving it as a CSV, comma delimited type field. So I've already done that, so I'm going to skip that process. And I'm going to close the field. It's always good if it's trying to open the field. Usually it'll fight if more than one program is trying to open it. So I'm going to say don't save, because I just saved it earlier. And I'm going to come back to the import tab, and I'm going to go to import. I'm going to wait to do that, so I'm going to pick the file name, so I have to go find this underneath my documents. And down the list, here's my GL import example. And now that I've selected the file, I can pick this button. Gives you a little summary of what had happened. Total records import 1, number of errors is 0, so that's good. And then come over here, the errors of course is clear. It'll show these if it doesn't, it has a type mismatch, different information as to what you do to fix it, and it'll give you a message as to what's wrong with that. Under the Good tab, it shows the number, the account, gives me where I typed in notes and then the number. And at this point, it's kind of in a buffer state. It's been brought into the system, but it hasn't been put into where our final resting place or where the GL accounts are. So at this point, we right-click on it, we pick Final Import, and it gives me an option to replace the GL accounts. Sometimes that's needed when you first start up. If you do, there's a lot of settings you'll need to change. In this case, we're going to say no to append current list. We'll say no, successful. And we're going to close this and come over to here to GL accounts. Go down to the 5000s, and here's that test import field. At this point, we could set the additional fields that we did not import to complete the information. There's just an example of how we can bring in data into the system.